I want to start this conversation simply with this. Do you guys think that Zach Hyman is a member of the core? Because we've done this thing of core four, core four, core four, core four, core four, core four, core four. And it's like, first of all, I think there are members outside of the core that are those four guys. I get it from a salary standpoint, but like, they're not going to trade Jake Muzzin, and they're certainly not going to trade TJ Brody. I'll still do that till the day he retires. They're not going to trade TJ Brody. I think Jack Campbell is genuinely, like, if you want to talk about like core pieces going into next year, like there's no way they're moving Jack Campbell at over $1 million. So there's some things that are like off the table. But do you view Zach Hyman as a core piece that you need to have with this roster?
Yeah, I do. I can't tell you, how many times have we had the conversation where we're like, every line he's on is better.
Yep.
Like he's exactly what they need. He hasn't produced a ton in playoffs, but the guy's played on like a torn MCL, and come back from injury, and he's been on a line that's struggled. He's a guy, I will hear the thing about like chances and the puck not going in for a guy like Hyman, because his are more luck-based as he's not a great shooter, but he's still played very well. He is a core guy to me.
Yeah, I don't think there's any debate that he's a core guy, and in some respects more important than one or two of the other guys on occasion, depending on the circumstance, and considering what we're talking about is these intangible things come the postseason. Absolutely, he's a core guy.
So I'm just going to provide the pushback right now because I think it's fair. I think it's fair to consider these things. One is that he's going to be 29 years old, I think, in a couple of days.
Yes.
29, and there is as I referenced, I always remember the likes of, and I'm not saying that Zach Hyman is these guys, but I think he's more in the vein of these kind of free agents. It's like when Kyle Okposo gets a contract extension, and I know he got hurt.
That was a really good comparable.
That one, when Andrew Ladd got paid, bang, that's one that I think of. Who's the guy Boston signed the same offseason as Andrew Ladd?
Yeah.
Crap. Anyways, I'm blanking on this, but either way, the
Backus?
NHL. Yes, that's it. Backus. Thank you. The NHL is wrought with guys who hit free agency around this time in their career, who had some problems with injuries, and who had this type of a skill set. Hell, David Clarkson, I think you could describe as one of these things, even though I do believe Zach Hyman was better than David Clarkson. But even still, you sign guys like this. You give them big money, and you give them term. I'd like to see the list of guys where it actually worked out and where it was a good signing, where it was one where you got like – because in a salary cap league, you still have to look at it as, yes, okay, can you meet your value? That's awesome. But on every single roster, you have to have guys who exceed their value, right? I hate the salary cap so much. It drives me insane because it turns fans and people against their own players, and like it's so the opposite of what we should be having in sports. Like I was talking about this with a friend the other day. Do any of you have any idea how much Matt Sundin made? I don't. Like I have no clue what any Matt Sundin contract ever looked like, and I think that's a good thing.
The Islanders players didn't know what each other made. When my dad was on teams that won cups, they didn't know what each other made. No one really talked about it or told anyone.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff kind of sucks because that's a way to suppress salaries, but...
Yeah, that happened in a major way.
Yeah, I'm not advocating for that ever, but I am advocating for...
Wants the reserve clause back.
Yeah, no, I think we've all had the boss that's told us, why do you care what other people make? You're like, it's kind of important. Yeah, it's kind of important for me to make more money, actually. So, yeah, no, never fall for that trick. But even still, this sucks. I hate having these conversations. I just want to put it out there. Either way, like Zach Hyman, if he's making $5.5 million, I will say, like, I really want Zach Hyman back, but I'm not ignoring history here. And even Bourne you're saying stuff like, hey, well, he's been hurt in the playoffs, and that's been an impact as to why he hasn't been able to be as impactful as you'd like. I'm like, yeah, but is that going to get better? Like, this is now 2 years in a row where he's entered the postseason hurt.
Yeah, no, it's a legitimate criticism, and I can't say that listening to you talk and list off those names that it doesn't give me more pause than I would have had you asked me without your speech first. Mm-hmm. That is quite the list, and his style and his age are definite concerns. Now, one of the ways in the past that I would advocate for dealing with this sort of thing is say, hey, you want 6 years at $5 million or 5 years at $6 million. We'll give you 3 years at 7, and try to, juice up the value for a shorter term so you're not handcuffed. Can't do that with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Nope.
So much in the way that teams like the Chicago Blackhawks succeeded in the salary cap era, with backdiving contracts, I think you almost have to give him as long a possible a deal to suppress that that yearly value and just say, we're going to take him on a low hit while we have a chance to win, and we're going to accept that it's going to hurt us down the road.
Yeah, and if
I
there's
think
one thing
that's
that this
the way.
organization's been good at is at the tail end of contracts that are not producing, making them disappear. And I mean, Marlowe was a bad one because you had to give him
for first round picks. Yeah.
First-round
Wow, what a woo!
That's not an example I would have used, but there are a few.
Who else?
Robidaugh Island existed for a guy named Stefan Robidaugh.
Yeah, but that was a completely different thing. It's like you weren't pressed up against the cap. I'm with Bourne on this one, which is I do think that the Hyman contract is going to have to take some type of creative work from the Leafs, and that they're going to have to find a way to make him whole. And this idea that we all had of, well, Hyman needs to be the hometown guy that takes the hometown discount. Because, like, Bourne, we've talked about this, like, many, many times, is will he see the value of that? I don't know if that value is there in the same way as we once thought it was. And, but because Zach Hyman's already beloved, and I was making the case last week that if you're Zach Hyman, why not go get your contract, go get 4 years, $5 million or whatever, 5 years, $5 million, and then when you're long in the tooth veteran, look at what Jason Spezza did and say, I'm just going to return home and do this thing, and people are going to love me because I'm making less than $1 million and grinding it out and playing Zach Hyman hockey, and I'll go down and be a Leafs ambassador for the rest of my life. Like, that's not going to be off the table if he goes and signs somewhere for money. In fact, there's not going to be, I think, a single person who's going to fault Zach Hyman for going out and getting the bag. Like, I believe that he is, like, criticism free in this moment of where we're at with player empowerment, where we're at with the salary cap, and where he's at just in terms of, like, his narrative of his career.
Yeah, I guess there's the thing that, like, if you win in Toronto, it's different. Like, if he is a great workhorse for the Toronto Maple Leafs for many years and they never do anything, everyone's going to be like, great, way to go. Yeah, we enjoyed Hyman. He was fine. But, like, if they win a cup with him here or get to the finals with him here, or, I don't know, the third round might be good enough, the bar's so low. Like, it's different. So if he signs for 7 years at $4 million or $3.5 million or something, and that frees up the team to have good players and they win, I think that's different than if he comes home as a charity ambassador playing 8 minutes a night in his 37th year.